Seriously? We're doing this again? It can run Nier Automata and Witcher 3 natively, and we're doing this again? Is running Crysis not enough? Hey everyone, it's the Koopa Man. Are you tired of seeing the words cloud version on Switch ports as I am? I mean, after they put that designation onto the Kingdom Hearts ports, PS3 remasters of a PS2 era game, I knew it was outright laziness.
3 Kingdom Hearts collections are almost here. From Kingdom Hearts to Kingdom Hearts 3 and the Remind DLC, every entry is coming to as cloud versions that can be
painfully playable
while connected to the internet. Relive or get to know these heart-filled adventures alongside Donald, Goofy, and more for the first time in TV, tabletop, or handheld mode. Kingdom Hearts.
Warning, due to network congestion, the game settings will be adjusted to low performance mode edition.
For cloud, containing all soars onto Nintendo Switch,
but not really.
Tomorrow. Each cloud version will all be individually available on Nintendo eShop.
But some others among you are probably wondering, what's he even talking about? What's a cloud and why is it a bad thing? Well, you see, a cloud-based game is slang for when your system plays a video game remotely off another system's hardware. It requires a stable internet connection on both ends. Whereas you usually see cloud-based services like Google Stadia and OnLive, you also see it in movie streaming as well, like Netflix. Now, what separates games from movies is interactivity. You gotta control the game. With movie streaming, you usually get buffering, even at the best of times, but with games, if you buffer, it could cost you your progress. Even with a completely wired internet, fiber optic broadband, and a wired controller, because the game isn't being played natively on your home system, there is a delay in your inputs. Really, it is a bad idea if you think of games like games and not like interactive movies, but we'll get into that discussion someday too, don't you worry. Now, why would a company do this? Well, for services like Stadia, it comes from a place of ignorance and a desperation to be hip and trendy with new technology. Cloud storage works so well on other mediums, so why not try it for video games? The people behind OnLive and Stadia were not gamers, so the basic common sense problems didn't occur to them. But then you see this done with actual game consoles. Back during the PS3 360 era, a number of games were given a sort of pseudo-cloud in the installation of online DRM. A form of anti-piracy protection that would ping back to a DRM server, which will tell you whether or not the game is legitimately purchased. Yeah, I'll do the piracy video too, don't worry. The problem being that if you cannot connect online, or if there's an issue on the server side at all, or en route between there and your game, you could be locked out of your game you legally purchased. You are treated like a criminal out of the gate, while actual criminals don't care about DRM because they can crack it off of the game anyway. Huh. Come to think of it, that sounds a lot like American anti-gun legislation. All it does is keep law-abiding citizens from protecting themselves because criminals don't care about the law. Funny that. Anyway, DRM was never popular. Still isn't. Most people try to have it removed outright from their games as soon as they're purchased, just out of principle. And some don't even purchase games with DRM protections for the same reason. Plus, on top of that, all of the communication between the server and the game causes issues with the games themselves. Very similar to the cloud. But hey, as long as we stop that 1% of people who aren't giving us money, right? Another reason this is done, especially on the Nintendo Switch, is performance and graphical reasons. Let's be honest, the Nintendo Switch is not the most graphically impressive system on the market. It can do some amazing things, but compared to the PC, or even to those 2 overpriced cheese graters over there, though most of the people who own a Switch, or consoles in general, let's be honest, aren't getting it for the graphics. The whole point of the Nintendo Switch is to have your games in a fun Nintendo way, both at home and on the go. And the whole point of the other two is to con gamers out of their hard-earned money with overpriced, underperforming low-end gaming computers with proprietary hardware and software. What I mean to say is gamers who want the best-looking games are already playing them on their PCs. They're becoming more widely available, more affordable, and are advancing in that front far harder than consoles ever were. That is the main reason why the Switch is focused where it is. Instead of following the trend, it went and did its own thing. And even the PC store from Steam took notice and made the Steam Deck a thing. Nintendo is almost always the company to follow in this industry. But what does all of this have to do with the cloud? Well, there's another reason why higher fidelity game graphics are being cited as an excuse. To get really high-end graphics requires a lot of storage space. You may notice that games lately have been getting larger and larger in file size, taking dozens of gigabytes as opposed to earlier games being less than 1. Final Fantasy VII Remake takes a whole 100 even on PC. For PC, this isn't a problem. We live in an era of USB passports, solid-state drives, and having data capacity well into the terabytes. For a console, however, this means either the game must be digital only, or it has to fit within the storage media the console uses. In the case of Nintendo Switch, that's SD cards. There are currently 4 standard sizes of Switch SD cards, with the maximum being 32 gigabits. That is still not all that far off from a Blu-ray disc being around 50, but it is enough that there would have to be compression to get the game to fit. That compression is optimization. You may remember that I cited The Witcher 3. What that game did is use lower polygon assets for things like trees and rocks and stuff, as well as scaled down textures to downsize its file size to fit on a 32 gigabit SD card. Well, no. See, they would optimize it even further and use a smaller SD card size. The 32 gigabit isn't even the standard size, but there's 4. It's a long story for another day. Anyway, this cost them more work, but the end result was a smooth running version of the game that was playable on Nintendo Switch that only the most eagle-eyed graphic simps would be able to tell the difference. Unfortunately, we cannot all be like CD Projekt Red. Though after Cyberpunk 2077, that's probably a blessing in disguise. Sometimes you're Square Enix, and you make Final Fantasy XV only available as the Pocket Edition for Switch, removing all the assets for ones that resemble a low-quality Chinese phone game, and bringing the file size down to 36 megabits so it fits on the smallest SD card size, and you can maximize your profits. Yes, they did that. And this cloud storage gimmick is just another way to get out of doing true optimization or spending money on larger cards. Like I said, Kingdom Hearts 1.5 and 2.5 are only available via the cloud. PS3 era remasters of PS2 and PSP games, ones that could easily fit on individual SD cards, and are being sold digitally only anyway. Because at the end of the day, most companies only care about the bottom line over even the quality of the product or the satisfaction of the customer. And we are probably not going to see this trend go away anytime soon. And it kind of can be blamed on the recent push for PC gaming. As an honorary member of the PC gaming master race, I hate to say this, but PC holds a big share of the blame. Games being sold digitally only via Steam and other digital storefronts for so long has made publishers thirstier and thirstier, as they had to do less and less work to make more and more money, and the larger storage capacities of a PC over a console just incentivized them taking the easiest routes possible, as well as focusing on PC for the best looking games over being the best optimized. We are at a point where graphics have reached an apex. Heck, it's been at the apex for a while. There isn't much higher the ceiling can go. This is eventually going to mean one of two things. Companies will have to stop using it as a marketing gimmick, or they'll be focused primarily on PC, and eventually, even the 50 gigabit storage spaces of the Blu-ray discs on the other two systems won't be enough, and they too will have to share in our misery. And knowing our luck, I'm more willing to bet on the latter than the former. Fortunately, there's always hope. Not everyone goes through that excuse dance when it comes to games for the Switch, and we're seeing large amounts of pushback more and more as gamers make it clear to the publishers. They don't care how good the game looks, only that it runs well. Because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. Even PC gamers know this. Graphics don't make a game. Performance does. And compromise is all about give and take. Anyway, I rambled on long enough. It's been the Koopa Man. Game on.